Hey everyone, today I'm taking a look at the Star Wars The Black Series figures of Ezra Bridger Lothal from the Ahsoka wave and Chopper from the Rebels wave. These have both released around the time that the Ahsoka show has ended. Other Rebels characters that they've made recently include the likes of Sabine and Hera. I've been trying to find that Sabine figure, but I think she's sold out in my country, and I just double checked my store stock inventory and it looks like I actually got the last one, so that's pretty lucky on my part. I don't own any of the original release Rebels figures. I don't own any of those really nice newer ones that they did either, so I'm really hoping that we do end up having easy access to each of those characters because I would really like to get them, but for now, at the very least, I have an Ezra and a Chopper to start off my little crew. Oh, and actually jumping in some weeks later, I managed to find Sabine at that exact same retailer. She wasn't there originally, but maybe they just forgot to put her out because she was the only new addition. This retailer has completely run out of Ezra's and Chopper's and now Sabine's as well, so I'm very lucky to have essentially what is half the Rebels crew. Here they both are out of their packaging. I have their accessories already on hand here. We can see that Ezra is included with his lightsaber and a blaster piece, while Chopper comes with a couple of different extras actually, which is really cool to see. Pretty simple accessories here for Ezra. His gun, really nice piece, two different colors, a gunmetal gray color and a nice silver shine on that barrel there. His lightsaber as well is the kind that can split thankfully at the saber part, so you can have the lightsaber hilt just on its own, which can be equipped onto his belt if he isn't currently using his weapon. Equipping his weapons onto his belt's really easy as well. The gun just goes into the holster there and the lightsaber can just attach onto that little strap. He's more or less pretty perfect to me, his likeness being based on the Ahsoka show, so not necessarily a cartoonish look. As his articulation goes, his head is actually separate to his neck, so you can rotate his head where it connects to his neck, and you can also rotate his neck where it connects to his shoulders. Speaking of shoulders, he does have some clavicle movement. It's pretty minor in there though. His arms have some bends in them, and his elbows as well as his hands. It's some pretty basic Jedi type articulation, I think. He's got a little bit of chest movement in there, but he doesn't really have anything around his hips there. His legs also have some pretty cool movements, but he does have the rubbery material used as his harness around his legs, meaning that every time you're going to move those legs, you're going to move those straps with them as well. So even though his legs can twist and turn, you're going to end up kind of bending into that material, so you'd probably want to be careful about that. Bends in the knees, and he's also got some foot rotates as well. Really nice figure overall, actually. I think the orange and yellow color scheme is pretty uncommon when it comes to Black Series figures, so I can see him standing out on everyone's display. And I don't believe we ever got a Lothal Ezra in the Black Series collection either, so now that we finally have him, he is a really nice addition. And then we have Chopper, who's a really fascinating figure. I haven't taken a look at astromech figures before. In fact, I don't really own any of the droids in the Black Series line, so this is a first time for me. He's got two different type of interchangeable legs, a side leg with a green shoulder pad on it, and a middle third wheel that can replace that jet engine area. And he also has this really cool fire display stand that makes it look as though he's mid-takeoff. You can see though he's not really connected to it, it just kind of sits there, so if you're really rough around moving the figure when he's in this kind of mode, he is going to fall over. His leg feels like it'll break if you pop it off, but it can pop off easily as long as you kind of ignore that intrusive thought. That leg can be interchangeable with either side as well, so it gives you a little bit of customization there. As for the middle leg, that jet 5 piece can come out and the middle leg just inserts in there. You can kind of push it in really far through though, but every time I've done that, it's been really tricky to try to get the wheel back out again. So I just leave a little bit extra poking out at the end there, that way I can still easily remove it again. Now Chopper is really impressive for his details. Aside from the fact that he's got some really nice colors going on, he also has really cool grimy dirt stains all over him. Helps to add this idea that he's aged. He's even got a little bit of articulation with him. His head dome can actually rotate all the way around, and both of his legs do have full rotations and even a little bit of articulation on the feet. It's a little bit tighter though, but it's a lot more noticeable on the swappable leg. He does not have any articulation like rotations in that lower section of his body though. Chopper also has these really cool hidden extras. He's got these two little hands that can come out of his dome and a little claw that comes out of the front here. These sections even have their own articulation here where they have some bends and some rotates as well. It's a really cool hidden feature that I wasn't expecting with the Chopper, but I'm so happy that he has those. It makes the figure feel a bit more valuable considering he is supposed to be the same price as the Ezra Bridger figure. It also helps add some key characteristics towards that character. So Chopper's actually pretty cool. I'm quite impressed with the amount of the accessories and the extra hidden details that are included with him. I'm pretty satisfied with both he and Ezra. I think they both delivered on their value there. And like I said at the beginning, because they've done Hera and Sabine, I am really hoping to see a Kanan and Zeb at some point as well. So Sabine doesn't really stand very well, but we'll just get right into it. She's really cool actually. She uses some parts on her that are pretty similar to the Ezra, but she does have a very different style for her legs. We'll get into that. I think the animated Rebels figure has lots of skinny proportions. It's kind of an awkward figure being based on a cartoon. So this one being based on a live action actress means that it's a bit easier to kind of play around with. I think her live action Mandalorian armor is really cool. The paint looks really nice on it, and it's a rubbery-ish material. Like, I think it's the same material that's used for her belt there. The best part about all of these Rebels figures are their colors. They really pop on your display when you have them next to a bunch of original trilogy white and gray type characters. Articulation wise, she has a rotates in her head. Her neck is also an individual piece, so both things can move independently from one another. Standard arm articulation, it's very similar to Ezra's. She's got bends in her elbows here and bends in her hands. Unlike Ezra, she has a bend in her chest area right below her ribs, so you can get a little bit more of extra posing going on here. Her legs, I think, are brand new. There's a much bigger gap on the inner thigh. I don't really know all of the lingo about toy articulation, so I don't know what purpose this serves. I'd be really curious to know, but I could tell that there was something that just felt a little different about this figure. Bends in her knees here as well. It feels very similar to the Ezra figure, and she's got a little bit of rotation in her feet. And sometimes you can actually make her stand really easily, which, yeah, worth knowing. And standing her next to the Rebels Ezra, they're really cool together. He's got a little bit of a height difference going on between the two. Like I said, very colorful action figures that will look really nice on the display, especially with those green lightsabers. And speaking of, she has some of my favorite accessories from a Black Series figure recently. Starting with her lightsaber, which I think is the most interesting one that she's included with because it's the most uncharacteristic of her. It is pretty much the exact same one as Ezra's, it's just a little bit of a weird reskin. Being the same one means that you can detach the blade, and of course have her displayed with the lightsaber attached to her belt there, just like Ezra's. And so like I said, it is Ezra's, but it's a little bit of a darker coloring. Ezra's is here on the left, like a gunmetal grey, whereas Sabine's is the pure black one on the right. She has her Mandalorian helmet, which is really interesting. It's quite big, and I guess I'm just not used to these other Mandalorian figures or Sabine figures, but I feel like it's pretty oversized on her. Looking at it from certain angles, you can see a lot of her head underneath there. I can't really help but see a kid wearing her parents' oversized clothing, but that's just me. And of course, being Sabine, she also includes her blaster pistols. They are the exact same piece each. One of them has a teal coloring on it, and one of them has like a yellow gold. Both of her hands are actually trigger finger ones, which is really cool to see, considering that they gave us a lightsaber as well. So she is able to easily successfully hold both of the guns in her hands. And she looks really cool with them. I think it's a really good amount of accessories for her, a pretty perfect amount for any action figure, honestly. A couple of weapons and a helmet for an alternate look. It's really solid overall. I'll probably personally have her displayed without her helmet on though. I just think it looks a little too big for what I was expecting, and it'll be fun to show off the different likenesses of the actors on my display. So I'm really satisfied with these three figures overall. My hope now, obviously, is that they either remake those Rebels figures or I can try and find them myself. There is a Mary Elizabeth Winstead Hera that's releasing, I don't know when in NZ, but I'll obviously be trying my best to try and pick that up. I don't really know the likelihood of them making another Zeb. I definitely don't know the likelihood of them making another Kanan. And as far as the art styles kind of clashing towards each other, I'm not really that bothered on this. I've seen people using this Chopper and this Ezra displayed with their other cartoon Rebels figures, and I think they all just look really good together anyway. I'm starting to regret not getting that archive of Hera, considering she was only like $12 not too long ago, but at that time I didn't know I'd get my hands on 3 of the Rebels crew. If you enjoyed this look at these Black Series figures, liking and subscribing does help to support this channel in making more videos just like this. Thank you very much, everyone.